So good morning. My name is Francisca. I'm here on behalf of Multiplicity. Multiplicity is actually an interdisciplinary research group. We work with, we're mostly architects and urbanists, but we also work with photographers, we work with scientists, also journalists, all types of professions. And what we do is actually concentrate on researching what is territorial transformation. So what are the processes actually that are affecting our built and non-built environments. I'm going to just, this is a, what we do is actually, in this research, what we do is actually discuss the relations between society and space, so that in fact we research the processes to see the transformations, but also at the same time we pick up the clues that are left on the territory to actually be able to understand also the processes that take on our contemporary society. What I would like to show today is actually an ongoing research project on the Mediterranean. It's called Solid Sea, and what this project starts from is a hypothesis that is proven through a series of case studies, let's say. So it's actually a metaphor that understands the Mediterranean as a continent, as a solid continent that is basically transversed or crossed by different populations, by different types of people. Of course, you have also not only the solid sea, but also its borders, and how these borders are affected by actually what goes on there. We have, up to now, collected a series of cases, about 6 or 7 cases. I'm just going to show 3 today. I've chosen them in relation to a series of ships that we've studied, so they're actually all cases that deal with ships crossing the Mediterranean. And you will see, of course, that these ships are take on actually different kinds of population, and therefore actually are regard different problems that are problems that repeat themselves all over, and many times with relation to the Mediterranean, and also the great land of or body of water that is our planet. The first is the first case of Solid Sea is called the Ghost Ship. This was presented at Kassel in 2002, thanks to the help of Okwi, who is around here somewhere, I think. And it's about, let's say, I'm just going to read. On the night of Christmas, 1996, the Johan, a Greek-owned ship with a Lebanese captain, which already tells you the kind of implications of this crisscrossing of borders, was nearing the Sicilian coast with its cargo of 400 refugees and clandestine immigrants. The Johan had set out from Cyprus and crossed the Mediterranean, taking on boards of immigrants originated from India, Tamil, and Pakistan. 19 miles to sea from the Sicilian town of Portopalo, the Johan was to meet a small fishing boat that had set out from Malta and would transport the immigrants to the Sicilian coast. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, in spite of heavy seas, the Johan transshipped 300 people onto a wooden fishing boat, more than 3 times its permitted capacity. This is actually something that happens all the time. It's just, this is one test case or one study case, but it's frequent, and I think you've probably heard about the last dealings near the Italian coast. Without warning, however, an ill-judged maneuver between the 2 vessels resulted in a hull breach in the fishing boat, causing it to sink rapidly without so much as a distress call from the Johan. The ship sank and 283 people were drowned. In spite of the protests, actually, of the families, 5 years passed by and nothing actually happened. There were no inquiries or anything, until actually what happened was the ID card of one of these refugees had been killed, actually surfaced, and it was found by a fisherman who actually, against everybody else in the town nearby, went to the authorities. What ensued was actually let's say it was a journalist who actually started to discuss about this for the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, and Giovanni Maliabello. And he actually got the story out. What we did with Multiplicity was actually to go back into the story, work with the reporter, and also go and interview all the people who had been involved in the case from one side or the other. And the installation was, as I said, presented in Kassel with the satellite map on one side and the underwater camera that you saw just recently on the other, and two texts that explain the case. So it's just a very somber, let's say, installation of this. There you go, with the text on the outside. A different case study, Odessa the World, actually confronts two different types of ships. They're both cruise ships. And also, I'm just going to show you very quickly, they just go by the slides. It confronts two cruise ships, actually, a Ukrainian cruise ship that was stuck in the port of Naples because it went into bankruptcy, and before they could pay the debts, or before they had to pay the debts, the crew of 7 was actually blocked on the ship, so they spent 7 years actually not being able to go on land, trapped in the boat, in the ship, let's say, in the cruise ship that slowly kind of denigrated and started to rot. Okay. The second ship is, instead, this is confronted with a ship called the World, and it's a very high level kind of ship for businessmen. It kind of just goes around the Mediterranean, and actually just you can land there by helicopter and you're super wired in, let's say. A third, I'm just going to go through, but a third case, which will come up just in a second, is actually the story of a shipwreck also onto the coast also of the south of Italy. It was a ship that seemingly was transporting toxic waste and was purposely actually shipwrecked, and the Nave Rosso. And this ship actually, the cargo has never been found. And it surfaced, this story actually resurfaced recently. And well, what happens is they do this on purpose. I just want to say these are just case studies, and of course you can see that the different trajectories that are actually enclosed in this kind of thing.